Now the core concept, central concept of Sat Yoga is a term that again we have imported from its original Sanskrit and left it the same because there is no exact translation, and that is the term Atman. Is that written on the board? Why don't you write Atman? It's very important for this reason. In the Western field of psychology, they lack this concept of Atman, and it is for the lack of that concept that psychology fails, that psychotherapy doesn't work in most cases, and that the paradigm itself is not able to coherently help you to understand yourself, whether it's any form of psychoanalysis or psychotherapy. They lack this concept. So I want to try to explain to you a little bit about what we mean when we use this term Atman. When you have a dream at night, and everyone has dreams, I don't know if any of you have analyzed those dreams, but the fact is those dreams contain images that themselves contain coded information of a very high level of intelligence and sophistication when you decode it. The dream often looks like, oh, this is garbage or random images or doesn't make sense to you. The real reason it doesn't make sense is that your waking consciousness is not as intelligent as the consciousness that created that dream in the middle of the night. Okay? It was created by a higher level of intelligence and then encoded into this form that it could get past the resistance, the censor as we call it, and get through to your waking consciousness with a message. But because our waking consciousness has not been trained to decode that message, we throw out the dream and don't think about it and think, oh, well, it was random garbage in, garbage out at night. It was just about something that happened to me during the day. But in fact, those who have analyzed dreams and have really worked with them, including starting with Freud and Jung, but now with 100 years of dream research in the West, it is recognized that dreams are extremely sophisticated information carriers. And the information that they're carrying via the unconscious is from the superconscious, this higher intelligence that is the cinematographer and the auteur of these dreams, and uses the imagery of the unconscious to tell the conscious waking mind what's going on in your unconscious, to help you to understand yourself, to help you, give you maybe a premonition of something that's going on in the unconscious that could cause negative karma, events that could be adverse that happen in your waking life, or to explain why you're in some kind of a trauma or anxiety state, and to help go beyond it. And dreams will come from different levels of your unconscious. Some will come from what Jung called the archetypal level. Some will come from the level of the personal unconscious. Some from the collective unconscious. There are different levels, and dreams have different import and different meanings. And we, at this institute, will be studying dreams. But the point that I want to make right now is that the dream is created by this higher intelligence that is within you that you do not have access to generally in your waking life. And if you did have access to it, you would be far more wise in choosing how you live your life and your friends and your path in life in general than you have now with a waking consciousness that is only a fragment of the potential intelligence available to you. And so the dream is trying to compensate that by giving you more information in imagery, because that's a very powerful way to communicate that information in a way that can't be forgotten. For example, if you wake up with an anxiety dream, you got a message that's very powerful and we'll remember it for days. But the question is, do you have the ability to translate the dream into the conceptual information that it contains? That's one of the things that we teach here. But that dream is a message from your Atman. Okay? And if we don't grasp that there is an Atman, we won't be able to understand how dreams get formed in the first place, where they come from, why we have them. And that's one of the problems that psychology has today. It doesn't really grasp the function of dreams in our psychic economy. And this was one of the things the yogis recognized, because one of the subdivisions of yoga, or applications of yoga, was for the purpose of healing. And the yogis discovered, again, 5,000 years ago, what is now only being rediscovered, with great resistance by modern medicine, that most illnesses that we have in the body are actually psychosomatic. They are caused by problems in the unconscious mind that get expressed through the body because we don't have access to the information to heal them at the mental level, and therefore we can only get the information through a physical shock to the organism. that expresses a lesion or a wound at a mental or spiritual level. So the Atman is trying to give us that information for healing. Dreams are very important in healing work. In ancient Greece, for example, there were the temples of Aesculapius. Aesculapius was a great healer who was a dream analyst, one of the original Greek dream analysts, also a great yogi, because the Greeks were connected to India, and they were also Aryans, this original race that developed this. And Greece was one of the outposts, as well as India, as well as Persia, Iran. Iran means Aryan, of this early civilization that developed this science. And so in the early Greek mystery schools of Pythagoras, and Parmenides, and Aesculapius, and all the way to Socrates, and then they started to go downhill with Aristotle and lost that original knowledge. But they were all from the same yogic science. And dream healing was a major part of the medical practice back then. You see it also in the Bible. Joseph was the dream interpreter who helped to heal people and to give the Pharaoh information, right, about what was going on. There would be a famine in Egypt, etc. So dream interpretation has been at the heart of all spiritual practice, but has in our modern times been lost. And part of yoga is to restore that element of our understanding of ourselves. So the Atman is the creator and generator of these dreams, and it is also the energy field that can heal the body. It can send that energy for our healing and restoration, and it is the source of our strength of being that makes us feel whole. The more we are united with that source, the more whole, the more self-confident we will feel, the more connected to nature we will feel, and the more alienated from it, the more in exile from our being, the more anxious we'll feel, the more alienated, and the more sense of isolation from reality, the more fear that will generally be filling our consciousness, and then defense mechanisms that compensate for that, and the ego develops into this very complex, very fragile kind of psychological being. So to heal all that, we need to restore our union with the Atman. The Atman is our connection to Sat.